The alien queen smiled and said, "I'm carrying your child, human, Part 1. The Impossible Revelation." Marcus Chen walked through the crystal corridors of the Zephyrian Palace, his boots making soft clicking sounds on the smooth floor. 6 months had passed since the peace treaty between Earth and the Zephyrian Empire. 6 months since the war that nearly destroyed both worlds had finally ended. Marcus was tired. The diplomatic meetings never seemed to stop. Every day brought new problems, new complaints from both sides. Some humans still hated the aliens. Some aliens still hated the humans. Making peace was harder than fighting the war. He stopped outside the throne room doors. The guards, tall, blue-skinned Zephyrians, with glowing markings on their faces, nodded at him. They knew him well by now. Marcus was the only human allowed to meet the queen alone. "Dr. Chen," one guard said in broken English, "Queen Lirelei waits." "For you?" Marcus nodded and walked inside. The throne room always took his breath away. The walls were made of living crystal that changed colors with the queen's mood. Today, the crystals glowed soft purple and gold. That usually meant she was calm, maybe even happy. Queen Lirelei sat on her throne. But she wasn't wearing her usual formal robes. Instead, she wore simple clothes that looked almost human. Her long silver hair fell over her shoulders, and her skin had a soft blue glow. She was beautiful, Marcus had to admit. Different from humans, but beautiful. "Marcus," she said, using his first name instead of his title. That was new. "Please sit with me." She gestured to a chair beside her throne. Not in front of it, but beside it, like an equal. Marcus felt confused, but sat down anyway. "Your Majesty," he began, but she held up her hand. "Just Lirelei today," she said. "We need to talk as friends, not as diplomats." Marcus studied her face. Something was different. Her usual calm expression had changed. She looked nervous, excited, and scared all at the same time. The crystal walls started showing flashes of red and white along with the purple and gold. "Is everything okay?" Marcus asked. "Are there new problems with the treaty?" Lirelei shook her head. "No, the treaty is fine. It's about something else. Something impossible." She stood up and walked to the large window that looked out over her capital city. Thousands of Zephyrians moved through the streets below, their glowing skin making the city look like it was full of stars. "You remember the night of the assassination attempt?" she asked without turning around. Marcus's hand moved to his chest. Without thinking, 3 months ago, extremists from both sides had tried to kill him during a dinner meeting. They wanted to restart the war. Queen Lirelei had saved his life, pulling him behind a pillar just as the energy weapons fired. "Of course, I remember," Marcus said. "You saved me." "We touched hands that night," Lirelei continued, "when I pulled you to safety. Do you remember that too?" Marcus did remember. Her hand had been warm, warmer than he expected. For just a moment, looking into her large golden eyes, he had felt something strange. Not just gratitude, but a connection. He couldn't explain. "Yes," he said quietly. Lirelei turned around. The crystal walls had gone completely white now, which Marcus had learned meant extreme emotion. "My people have legends," she said. "Old stories about something called the Great Joining. We thought they were just fairy tales." "What kind of stories?" Marcus asked, though he was starting to feel worried. "Stories about a time when 2 different species could become one, not through marriage or politics, but through biology, through evolution itself." She paused and took a deep breath. "The legends say it only happens when 2 beings from different worlds share a moment of perfect understanding, perfect trust." Marcus felt his heart start beating faster. "Lirelei, what are you trying to tell me?" The queen smiled then, a real smile that made her whole face light up. The crystal walls exploded into brilliant gold and white patterns. "I'm carrying your child, human," she said. Marcus felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. He stared at her, mouth open. Unable to speak, this was impossible. Humans and Zephyrians were completely different species. Their doctors had studied this. Their DNA was nothing alike. They couldn't even catch each other's diseases, let alone reproduce. "That's impossible," he finally managed to say. "I thought so too," Lirelei said, walking back toward him. But look, she placed her hand on her stomach. Marcus couldn't see any change, but suddenly the markings on her face began to pulse with a rhythm he had never seen before. Women had special markings that glowed during pregnancy, but these were different. They pulsed with two patterns at once, one Zephyrian, one that looked almost human. I went to our best doctors, she continued. They couldn't believe it either. They ran every test they could think of. The child is real, Marcus. It's half human, half Zephyrian. Marcus stood up quickly, almost knocking over his chair. But how? Our species can't. We're too different. ... The doctors think it happened because of what we felt that night, Lirele explained. The moment when we touched hands and trusted each other completely. My body somehow ... adapted, changed, made it possible. This is crazy, Marcus said, running his hands through his hair. What are we going to do? What will our people say? The humans will think I'm a traitor. Our people will think you've been corrupted. I know, Lirele said sadly. I've been trying to figure that out for weeks. Some of my advisors already know. They're furious. They want me to end the pregnancy. And will you? Marcus asked, surprising himself with how much he cared about her answer. No, she said firmly. Never. This child is a miracle, Marcus. The first of its kind in the history of the galaxy. I won't destroy something so precious. Marcus sat back down heavily. His mind was racing. The political implications were enormous. Both their governments would be thrown into chaos. The peace treaty could be destroyed. There might be another war, but looking at Lirele's face, seeing the hope and determination there, he felt something else. Pride, wonder. This impossible thing was partly his. He was going to be a father to a child that shouldn't exist. What do the doctors say about the baby's health? He asked. Lirele's smile got even brighter. They say it's perfectly healthy, more than healthy. The genetic combination is creating something new, something stronger than either of our species alone. When will it be born? Zephyrian pregnancies last 14 months, so we have 8 more months to figure out how to tell the galaxy that. Everything they thought they knew about biology is wrong. Marcus laughed, a short, shocked sound. 8 months to prevent 2 civilizations from going insane. We'll figure it out, Lirele said, reaching out to take his hand. We have to. As their hands touched again, Marcus felt that same strange connection from 3 months ago. But this time, it was stronger. He could almost feel the life growing inside her, calling to something in his own DNA, looking into her golden eyes. Marcus realized that everything was about to change. Not just for them, but for every human and Zephyrian in the galaxy. The impossible had happened. Right now, they had to live with the miracle. The alien queen smiled and said, I'm carrying your child. Human Part 2. The political firestormed emergency message came at 3 in the morning. Marcus woke up in his small apartment on the diplomatic station to find his communication device flashing red. Red meant crisis. Red meant his government wanted to talk to him immediately. Dr. Chen, General Harrison's face, appeared on the screen. The old soldier looked angry and tired. Pack your bags. You're coming home, sir. Marcus sat up in bed, trying to wake up properly. What's happening? What's happening? The general said slowly. Is that someone leaked information about you? And the alien queen. The news is everywhere. Every human colony is talking about it, and they're not happy. Marcus felt his stomach drop. He and Lirele had agreed to keep the pregnancy secret until they could figure out how to announce it properly. They needed time to prepare both governments. How much do they know? Marcus asked. Everything, Harrison replied. The pregnancy, the impossible biology, all of it. Someone with access to the Zephyrian medical records sold the story to a news network. It's spreading across human space like wildfire. Marcus got out of bed and started getting dressed. Through his window, he could see the Zephyrian ships that always guarded the diplomatic station. Were they still protecting him, or were they now his enemies? What's the government's position? Marcus asked, though he was afraid of the answer. The president is furious, General Harrison said. The Congress is calling for emergency sessions. Half of them think you're a hero who created a new form of life. The other half think you're a traitor who contaminated human genetics with alien DNA. And what do you think, sir? Harrison was quiet for a moment. I think you're in serious trouble, son. Get to the transport bay. A ship is coming to get you in 2 hours. The communication ended, leaving Marcus alone in the dark. He finished dressing and started packing his few belongings. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from anger. Someone had betrayed them. Someone had turned their miracle into a political weapon. A soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Marcus opened it to find a young Zephyrian messenger, one of Queen Lyrile's personal servants. Dr. Chen, the messenger said in careful English. The Queen asks you to come quickly. There are problems. Marcus followed the messenger through the station's corridors. Even at this early hour, he could see groups of humans and Zephyrians talking in worried voices. The news had reached everyone. Queen Lyrile was waiting in her private meeting room, but she wasn't alone. A dozen Zephyrian nobles surrounded her, all talking at once in their musical language. When Marcus entered, they all turned to stare at him with expressions of anger and disgust. Silence, Lyrile commanded. The nobles stopped talking, but hostility filled the room like poison. Marcus, the queen said, standing up carefully. He could see that her pregnancy was starting to show now. I need to talk privately. Your Majesty, one of the nobles said in English, clearly wanting Marcus to understand. This human has corrupted your bloodline. The child he has forced upon you is an abomination. It must be destroyed. Lord Vax and Lyrile replied coldly. I've told you already. No one forced anything on me. No one will harm my child. Our child, Marcus said quietly, stepping forward. Every noble in the room turned to glare at him, their skin markings flashing angry red patterns. You dare claim ownership of our queen's child? Lord Vaxon demanded. I claim responsibility, Marcus replied, trying to keep his voice steady. I claim the right to protect what we created together. What you created, another noble said, is a monster that threatens the purity of our race. Enough. Queen Lyrile's voice echoed through the room with authority that made everyone step back. All of you, leave us. Now, the nobles filed out. But Marcus could hear them talking angrily in the hallway. Their language was musical, but right now it sounded like war drums. I'm sorry, Lyrile said once they were alone. Half my court wants to exile me. The other half wants to declare war on humanity for contaminating their queen. It's the same on my side, Marcus told her. My government is recalling me. They want to put me on trial. Lyrile walked to her chair and sat down heavily. Pregnancy was making her tired. I've been getting reports from across the empire. Some colonies are refusing to acknowledge me as queen anymore. They say I'm no longer pure Zephyrian. Marcus sat beside her. What are we going to do? I don't know, she admitted. But Marcus, there's something else. Something the doctors discovered today. What? The pregnancy is affecting more than just me, she said. Other Zephyrians who spend time near humans are starting to change. Small changes, but real ones. They're developing new abilities. What kind of abilities? Better problem-solving skills? Increased emotional understanding. Some of them are even starting to feel empathy the way humans do. She paused, and it's happening to humans too. Marcus stared at her. What do you mean? The human diplomats and scientists who work closely with my people are changing as well. They're becoming more aware of their environment. More intuitive. They can sense things they couldn't before. Are you saying the pregnancy is somehow affecting our entire species? That's what the doctors think, Lyrile said. They believe our child is sending out some kind of biological signal. It's a signal that's triggering evolutionary changes in both humans and Zephyrians. Marcus felt dizzy. This is bigger than we thought. Much. Bigger, she agreed. We're not just having a baby, Marcus. We're causing both our species to evolve. A loud alarm suddenly filled the room. Marcus and Lyrile looked at each other in fear. That alarm meant danger to the station. A security officer burst through the door. Your Majesty, Dr. Chen. You need to come to the command center immediately. They followed him quickly through the corridors. Command center was full of panicking officers staring at their screens. What's happening? Lyrile demanded. Ships, Your Majesty, the chief officer reported. Human and Zephyrian ships. They're not talking to each other, but they're both heading here. How many? Marcus asked. 50 human warships, 40 Zephyrian battlecruisers will be here. In 6 hours, Marcus felt his blood turn cold. They're coming for us. Both sides want to control the situation, Leerlay realized. The humans probably want to take you back for trial. My people want to take me back to end the pregnancy. Your Majesty, the officer said nervously. There's more? We're getting reports from across the galaxy. Other species are taking sides. Some support you. Others are demanding that both governments stop what they call genetic contamination. Marcus and Leerlay looked at each other. Their private miracle had become a galactic crisis. We have 6 hours, Marcus said. 6 hours to decide whether to surrender to our own people or run, Leerlay agreed. Ack! Or, Marcus said slowly, 6 hours to find another choice.
What?
Her hand on her growing belly. What kind of choice? I don't know yet, Marcus admitted. But if our child is already changing both our species, maybe there are others out there who want to change too. Maybe we're not as alone as we think. Alarm continued to wail as 90 warships raced toward them through space. Time was running out. The alien queen smiled and said, I'm carrying your child. Human Part 3. The hunt begins. The escape ship was small and fast. But Marcus could still see the warships chasing them on the radar screen. 12 human fighters and 8 Zephyrian interceptors had broken away from the main fleets to hunt them down. How long until we reach the coordinates? Queen Leerlay asked from the pilot's seat. She was a better pilot than Marcus, and right now they needed every advantage they could get. 20 minutes, Marcus replied, checking the navigation system. Assuming we survive that long, Dr. Sarah Kim, the human scientist who had helped them escape, was working frantically at a computer terminal. Still getting strange readings, she said. The pregnancy is definitely sending out some kind of signal. It's getting stronger. 3 hours ago, Dr. Kim had contacted them with incredible news. She had been studying the evolutionary changes happening to humans and Zephyrians. What she discovered changed everything. The signal isn't random, Dr. Kim had explained during their secret meeting. Structured, organized. Like a message being broadcast across the galaxy. A message saying what? Marcus had asked.
Ow!
Come and evolve with us, she had answered now. They were running from their own people, heading toward a secret research station that Dr. Kim claimed was full of scientists from 12 different alien species. All of them were studying the same thing, how species could evolve together instead of staying separate forever. Warning shot across our bow, Leerlay announced as red energy blasts flashed past their ship. They want us to stop. Don't stop, Marcus said. We're almost there. Behind them, the human fleet commander was broadcasting on all frequencies. Dr. Chen, return to your people immediately. You are under arrest for treason against humanity. At the same time, the Zephyrian fleet was sending their own message. Queen Leerlay, you will return to face judgment for corrupting our bloodline. Your pregnancy will be terminated for the good of the Empire. They really don't understand, do they? Dr. Kim said sadly. They think this is about politics or purity. They don't realize we're watching the birth of something completely new. New contact on sensors, Leerlay announced. It's huge, massive. Space station appeared on their screens. It looked like no structure Marcus had ever seen. Part metal, part crystal, part living organism. Ships from dozens of different species were docked to it. Welcome to Research Station Unity, Dr. Kim said with a smile. Home to the galaxy's most progressive scientists. They're going to follow us in, Marcus warned, watching the pursuing ships on radar. No, said a new voice over the radio. Speaker sounded neither human nor Zephyrian. They will not. Suddenly, the space around the station filled with ships. Not warships, but research vessels and exploration craft from species Marcus had never seen before. There were hundreds of them. The human fleet commander's voice crackled over the radio. Unknown vessels, stand down immediately. We are pursuing dangerous criminals. There are no criminals here, the alien voice replied calmly. Only the future of galactic civilization? You are not welcome. We have superior firepower. The Zephyrian fleet leader added to the conversation. Do you? The voice asked. The pursuing? Ships suddenly stopped moving. Their engines were still running, but they hung motionless in space. "What's happening to them?" Marcus asked. Dr. Kim was grinning. "The Nexari have some very interesting technology. They can create fields that prevent aggressive actions. The ships can't fire weapons or move toward targets they intend to harm." Lirelei guided their small ship into the station's docking bay. As they landed, Marcus could see beings from species he had only heard about in stories. Tall, graceful creatures, made of living crystal. Small furry beings with 6 arms and enormous eyes. Things that looked like walking trees, and others that seemed to be made of pure energy. "How do they all communicate?" Marcus asked. "Universal translators are pretty common out here," Dr. Kim explained. "Most advanced species developed them centuries ago. Humans and Zephyrians are actually unusual for not having them yet." They left the ship and were met by a creature that looked like a cross between a dolphin and an octopus, walking on 4 legs. "I am Dr. Quillenth," it said in perfect English. "Welcome to Unity Station. We've been expecting you." "Expecting us?" Lirelei asked. "Oh yes," Dr. Quillenth replied happily. "Your pregnancy signal has been traveling across the galaxy for weeks. It's the most exciting thing to happen in 1,000 years." They walked through corridors filled with beings from dozens of worlds. Marcus noticed that many of them were clearly hybrid creatures, combinations of 2 or more species. "How is this possible?" he asked Dr. Quillenth. "Evolution, my dear human," the creature explained. "Most species reach a point where they must choose, evolve with others, or stay alone forever. Those who choose evolution join the galactic harmony. Those who choose isolation eventually fade away." The galactic harmony, a network of species that share beneficial traits through guided evolution. "We've been waiting for humans and Zephyrians to be ready for centuries." They entered a massive laboratory where hundreds of scientists were working. On the main display screen, Marcus could see a map of the galaxy. Thousands of points were blinking. With different colors, each point represents a species experiencing evolutionary changes, Dr. Quillenth explained. "Your pregnancy has triggered responses in over 3,000 different worlds." 3,000, Lirelei gasped, placing her hand on her belly. "Your child isn't just half human and half Zephyrian," a new voice said. They turned to see a tall, elegant being made of living crystal. "I am Resonance Substars. I study evolutionary biology. Your offspring is something far more significant." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. "Your child is a catalyst. Resonance of stars," explained, a living key that unlocks evolutionary potential across the galaxy. Every species that's ready for the next step is responding to the signal. Alarms suddenly filled the station. Dr. Quillenth rushed to a communication panel. "What's wrong?" Dr. Kim asked. "The fleets outside aren't giving up," Dr. Quillenth reported. "They're calling for reinforcements, much larger reinforcements." On the display screen, Marcus could see new ships arriving. Massive human dreadnoughts and enormous Zephyrian battle stations, hundreds of them. "There's more Resonance of Stars," said grimly. "We're detecting other fleets approaching. Species that oppose evolution. They call themselves the Purity Alliance." "How many?" Lirelei asked. "Thousands of ships from over 50 different worlds," Dr. Quillenth answered. "They believe that species mixing is dangerous. They want to stop your pregnancy before it triggers more changes." And Marcus felt the weight of the galaxy settling on his shoulders. "So we're not just running from our own people anymore." "No," Resonance Source confirmed. "You're running from everyone who fears change. But you're also protected by everyone who embraces it." Outside the station, space was filling with warships. The evolved species and the pure species were taking sides, preparing for a battle that would determine the future of galactic civilization. "What do we do now?" Marcus asked. "Now," Dr. Quillenth said, "we prepare for war. And we hope that love is stronger than fear." Lirelei took Marcus's hand. Through their connection, he could feel their child growing stronger, sending out waves of evolutionary potential to every corner of the galaxy. The hunt had become something much bigger. The future itself was at stake. The alien queen smiled and said, "I'm carrying your child, human part 4. The awakening network. The battle began at dawn. Station time. Marcus watched from the command center as thousands of ships faced each other in the darkness of space. On one side, the Galactic Harmony Fleet, creatures who believed in evolution and change. On the other side, the Purity Alliance, species who wanted to keep their bloodlines separate forever. Energy signatures are spiking, Dr. Kim reported from her station. The pregnancy signal is getting much stronger. Queen Lirelei sat beside Marcus, her hand resting on her growing belly. She was now 7 months pregnant, and the child was very active. Every time it moved, the monitoring equipment showed waves of energy spreading out from the station. "The baby knows something is happening," she said softly. "All ships prepare for battle," came the voice of Admiral Blackstone, the human fleet commander. "Target the alien research station. We will not allow this genetic contamination to spread." But before the first shots could be fired, something incredible happened. On the human flagship, a young communications officer suddenly stopped working. She stared at her screen with wide eyes, then turned to her captain. "Sir," she said in a confused voice, "I can understand them." "Understand who, Lieutenant?" "The Zephyrians, sir. I can understand their language." "Without the translator?" "Similar." Reports were coming from all across the human fleet. Soldiers and officers were suddenly developing new abilities. Enhanced hearing to better reflexes. Some could even sense the emotions of nearby aliens. The same thing was happening on the Zephyrian ships. Warriors who had never shown emotion were suddenly feeling sympathy for their enemies. Engineers were solving problems they had never been able to figure out before. "What's happening to our crews?" Admiral Blackstone demanded over the radio. Dr. Quillenth smiled as he monitored the situation. "Evolution doesn't ask permission," he said. "Your people are changing whether you want them to or not." On the human dreadnought, chaos was spreading. Half the crew wanted to continue the fight. The other half was beginning to understand that they were trying to destroy something beautiful. "Admiral," the communications officer said, "I'm getting reports from all our ships. The crews are... They're refusing orders." "Right." "What do you mean refusing orders?" "They won't fire on the station, sir. They say it feels wrong, like they would be destroying their own children." Now the same rebellion was happening throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Ancient warriors were laying down their weapons, unable to bring themselves to harm the place where their queen's miracle child was growing. But the Purity Alliance ships were not affected. They had brought special equipment to protect themselves. From the evolutionary signal, their crews remained unchanged, and they were still ready to fight. "Harmony Fleet, stand down," the Alliance commander broadcast. "You are all infected with alien contamination. We will cleanse the galaxy of this disease." Disease. Resonance servers responded from Unity Station. "We call it the future." The first energy blasts came from the Alliance ships, but they weren't aimed at Unity Station. They fired at the human and Zephyrian fleets, trying to destroy the crews that were no longer purely their original species. "They're attacking their own allies," Marcus said in shock. "Not allies," Dr. Quillenth corrected. "The Alliance never trusted humans or Zephyrians. They were just using your fleets to get close to the station." Now the real battle began. The evolving human and Zephyrian crews found themselves fighting alongside the Harmony Fleet against the Purity Alliance. Species that had been enemies an hour ago were now working together. On the bridge of the human flagship, Admiral Blackstone watched his own people coordinating perfectly with alien crews. His communications officer was somehow speaking directly to Zephyrian pilots, guiding them through battle formations they had never practiced together. "How are they doing this?" he asked. "I don't know, sir," the officer replied. "It just feels natural, like we've always been meant to work together." Through the station's viewing ports, Marcus could see the most amazing sight of his life. Human fighters and Zephyrian interceptors were flying in perfect formation, protecting crystal ships. And energy beings from Alliance attacks. Crews that couldn't even communicate a day ago were now acting like they had trained together for years. "The network is forming," Lirelei said, her eyes closed in concentration. "I can feel it." "What network?" Marcus asked. "The child is connecting." "Them all," she explained. "Every person who has been changed by the signal. They're becoming part of something bigger. Dr. Kim was monitoring the evolutionary changes on her equipment. It's incredible, she said. Brain activity in the affected crews is synchronizing. They're not losing their individuality, but they're gaining a shared understanding. The battle was turning in favor of the evolved alliance. The Purity Alliance ships were powerful. They couldn't match the perfect coordination of crews who could literally feel each other's thoughts and intentions. Alliance command to all units came. A desperate broadcast. Target the pregnant alien. Destroy the source of the contamination. Several Alliance warships broke away from the main battle and headed straight for Unity Station. Their weapons charged with enough power to destroy the entire structure. Shields are failing, Dr. Quailanth reported as energy blasts hammered the station. Marcus held Lirelay close as the station shook around them. We should get you to the escape pods, he said. No, she replied firmly. If we run, they'll just keep hunting us. This has to end here. Yes. The Alliance ships moved closer, preparing for a final attack that would wipe out the station and everyone on it. But just as they were about to fire, something unexpected happened. The evolved crews from the human and Zephyrian fleets positioned their ships between the Alliance and Unity Station. They were protecting the station with their own bodies. This is Admiral Blackstone, came a voice over the radio. Marcus was shocked to hear the human commander speaking. Alliance ships, stand down. I will not allow you to harm innocent civilians. Admiral, you are contaminated, the Alliance commander replied. Step aside, or we will destroy you too. Then you'll destroy us too, Blackstone said calmly, because we're not moving. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species formed a protective wall around Unity Station. Humans and Zephyrians, crystal beings and energy creatures, all standing together against the Alliance. For a moment, space was completely silent. Then Queen Lirelay gasped and doubled over in pain. The baby, she whispered. It's coming. As labor began, the evolutionary signal suddenly increased 1,000-fold across the galaxy, on millions of worlds. Every species that was ready for change began to evolve at once. The real awakening was about to begin. The alien queen smiled and said, I'm carrying your child. Human Part 5. The New Dawn, the medical bay, had never been designed for a birth like this one. Queen Lirelay lay on the biobed, surrounded by doctors from 6 different species. Her pregnancy markings were glowing so brightly that they lit up the entire room. With each contraction, waves of energy spread out from Unity Station and across the galaxy. The evolutionary signal is off the charts, Dr. Kim reported from her monitoring station. Every sensor in the galaxy must be detecting this. Marcus held Lirelay's hand, feeling the incredible power flowing through her. Through their connection, he could sense something amazing happening. Their child wasn't just being born, it was awakening something in every corner of the universe. I can feel them all, Lirelay whispered between contractions. Every species, every world, they're all changing. Outside the station, the space battle had completely stopped. Alliance and Harmony ships floated side by side, their crews staring in wonder at the light streaming from Unity Station. The evolutionary signal was so powerful now that even the Alliance soldiers were beginning to change. Admiral Blackstone spoke over the radio. Your crews are evolving too? Can you feel it? There was a long silence. Then the Alliance commander responded, his voice filled with confusion and wonder. What? ... What is happening to us? You're becoming what you were always meant to be, came the reply from Resonance of Stars. Connected, united, complete. Alliance ships throughout the fleet, soldiers were laying down their weapons. They could no longer find hatred in their hearts. The evolutionary signal was washing away fear and replacing it with understanding. In the medical bay, Dr. Quailanth checked his instruments. The birth is almost here, he announced. But this is unlike anything in our records. The child's biosignature is ... extraordinary. What do you mean? Marcus asked. It's not reading as half human and half Zephyrian, the doctor explained. It's reading as something entirely new. A bridge between all consciousness. Lirelay cried out as another powerful contraction hit her. The station's lights flickered. and across space, every ship's communication system suddenly activated on its own. "Can everyone hear me?" Came a voice not spoken but felt directly in every mind. It was the child, speaking to the galaxy before it was even fully born. "I can hear it," Admiral Blackstone whispered on his ship. "We all can," the Alliance commander added, his voice now soft with wonder. The voice continued, innocent and pure, like all newborns, but carrying wisdom beyond its moments of existence. "Why were you fighting? We are all family." Across the galaxy, on millions of worlds, the same question echoed in every evolved mind. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years suddenly couldn't remember why they had ever fought.
One.
More push. Dr. Quillenth encouraged Lirelei. She gripped Marcus's hand tightly and gave everything she had. Light exploded from the medical bay, visible even through the station's walls. Every ship in the fleet was bathed in golden radiance. Then, in the sudden quiet that followed, they heard it. A baby's cry. But it wasn't just one cry. Somehow it was the voice of every newborn across the galaxy, all singing in harmony. The sound of new life beginning everywhere at once. "It's here," Dr. Quillenth announced with tears in his eyes. "The child is born." Marcus looked down at his daughter, for it was clearly a girl, and felt his breath catch. She was beautiful beyond description. Her skin had the soft blue glow of her mother's people, but her eyes were human brown. Tiny hands seemed to shimmer with both human warmth and Zephyrian energy. "Hello, little one," Lirelei whispered. Exhausted but radiant with joy, the baby opened her eyes and looked around the room. When her gaze fell on each person present, they felt a wave of pure love and acceptance wash over them. "She's not just our daughter," Marcus realized. "She's everyone's daughter." "The first of the new generation," Dr. Kim said in wonder. "The bridge between all species."
Outside.
Something miraculous was happening. The Alliance ships were powering down their weapons. One by one, their commanders were asking permission to come aboard Unity Station. I want to see the child," the Alliance commander transmitted. "I need to understand what we were trying to destroy." Over the next few hours, representatives from every ship in the fleet came to visit the medical bay. Humans and Zephyrians, crystal beings and energy creatures, even the former Alliance soldiers who had wanted to destroy them. Each visitor had the same reaction. When they saw the baby girl, they felt something change inside them. Old hatred dissolved. Ancient fears disappeared. They saw not an alien hybrid, but the future of all consciousness in the galaxy. "What will you name her?" Admiral Blackstone asked during his visit. Tough military commander was crying openly as he looked at the peaceful baby. Marcus and Lirelei looked at each other. They had discussed many names, but now only one felt right. "Harmony," Lirelei said. "Her name is Harmony." "Perfect," Admiral Blackstone whispered. Within days, the news spread across the galaxy. Not just the story of the birth, but the reality of what it meant. Species that had never communicated were suddenly working together. Wars that had raged for centuries simply ended as former enemies discovered they could understand each other's perspectives. The child Harmony grew quickly, as hybrid children do. By her first month, she could communicate equally well with humans, Zephyrians, and every other species that visited Unity Station. She became a living symbol of what the galaxy could become. Marcus and Lirelei established the Interspecies Council. With Unity Station as its headquarters, but they didn't govern, they simply helped coordinate the unprecedented cooperation that was emerging everywhere. "Do you ever regret it?" Lirelei asked Marcus one evening as they watched their daughter play with children from a dozen different worlds. "Regret what?" Marcus replied. "Changing everything? Turning the galaxy upside down?" Marcus smiled as he watched Harmony teach a young crystal being how to stack blocks, while a small energy creature provided light for them to see by. "Look at them," he said. "Different species, different biologies, different ways of thinking. But they're just children. Playing together? If this is what we created, I regret nothing." Across the galaxy, more hybrid children were being born every day. Human Zephyrian, crystal energy, and combinations that had never existed before. Each child was a living bridge between species, making understanding and cooperation as natural. As breathing, the old galaxy of separate, competing species was ending. The new galaxy of united consciousness was just beginning, and in the nursery of Unity Station, baby Harmony slept peacefully, surrounded by love from every corner of the universe. Her very existence proof that the greatest strength in the galaxy was not technology or weapons, but the simple, powerful force of connection between different forms of life. The future had arrived, and it was beautiful.